desire that hasn't manifested means that your usual conversation about it is going to be detailed and negative. Isn't that true?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you've got a strong desire and it hasn't manifested, then it backfires on you. So what is the logical thing? If you've got a strong desire that isn't manifesting, which means you've got some detailed stuff going on that's holding it from manifesting, that's causing the resistance, that's keeping it from revealing itself to you because you're not ready for it to reveal itself to you because you're vibrationally out of whack. What's the logical thing to do? Go general.
Go general, less specific.
So when you said, I have these really strong desires, we want to say, well, soften them. Or distract yourself from them, or stop making them the big hairy deal that you're making them out to be, and go general. So what is the really strong desire that you have? Just speak one part of it.
Self-confidence.
So go general about that. Self-confidence, be specific. Be specific as you can be in a negative way, just for a moment.
I have self-doubt sometimes. And it holds me back. I criticize. I don't accept myself the way I am. I'm always striving towards that place to be.
You see how he started out, and now he's used the word always. So it's gotten more specific. I always do what?
I have such high standards, and I so want to be this specific being, and I don't allow myself to where I am now.
You started to say I always.
I'm not sure where
I always sabotage myself, or I always have self-doubt, or I always, so really specific and really uncomfortable. So go general right now in that subject. I'm not as confident as I'd like to be, but I guess a lot of people aren't. And I don't have to figure it out all right now. And things are getting sort of kind of better for me. Taken a whole lot longer than I wanted to, but I guess I'll probably make my way along in time, just more general. And things are not really going so bad. There are a lot of things that are pretty good. And there have been a lot of things that I've wanted to accomplish that I have accomplished. And this is sort of the last holdout that I'm really looking forward to releasing. And I can feel that it's sort of a big key for me. So it's going to be really a satisfying sense of relief when I finally let go of it. And I have the sense I don't have to let go of it all at once, that it will be a sort of gradual thing. And so I think it's time for me to stop torturing myself about things that aren't happening this red hot minute, and just start appreciating the great life that I do have and the wonderful things that I am uncovering and discovering about myself. And I really like being alive at this time. This is a fun time to be alive. It's fun to know the concept of law of attraction. It's fun to know about my emotional relationship to it. I like knowing that the true presence of who I am is a really good feeling being. And it also is satisfying to me to realize that anytime I don't feel confidence, that I'm feeling doubt in myself, that what that means for sure is that I'm thinking a thought that my inner being doesn't think. So when I'm thinking I don't have confidence, my inner being's not going there with me, which must mean I have confidence, I'm just not letting in. I love it that my inner being hangs in there tough and sure and true to who I am. And I love the idea of me working my way little by little into more presence of how my inner being feels. And that's what confidence is. That's what the feeling of confidence is. It's that all-knowingness, not necessarily that I have all the answers right now this red hot minute. That's the discussion we had earlier, because you don't want all the answers this red hot minute. It would be a minefield to try to explore. I don't have to have all the answers this red hot minute, just the one that applies to what I'm doing right now. And I know that my inner being will feed it to me. I know that I'll just rendezvous with it. So next logical step, next logical step. I'm so proud of how I'm doing. I'm so pleased. I'm so full of zest for life. I'm so eager about moving on. I love knowing who I really am and what my inner being really feels. And I don't think it's such a bad thing to know what my inner being feels by me knowing its opposite. That's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. When I feel rotten, that means my inner being feels great. That's worth something, don't you think? Mm-hmm. In fact, the rottener I feel is a greater indication of how good my inner being feels. Isn't that good to know? Inner being, it's disgusting that you feel that good. Because if you didn't feel that good, I couldn't feel this bad. You need to adjust something. And inner being just stands and smiles, waiting for you to join the confidence and the knowledge. Confidence comes with knowledge. Knowledge comes with presence of source within you.
Yes. And the confidence, I think I may have chosen the wrong word, but that's
No,
all
you
accurate
didn't.
and very good.
No, you didn't. That's a perfect word.
For me, it's self-criticism. It's like they're not allowing where I am now. Like, it feels like my desire is so strong that where I am now compared to where I want to be.
Feels that my desire is too strong. Let's go back there. I've got such a strongly focused, I have a strong desire that I'm on the flip side of, and I can't get there from there. In other words, my desire is so strong, but I'm not practiced in the other end of it. So every time you say that, you've been saying that a lot. I have a really, really, really strong desire. I have big goals. I have big expectations of myself and of life and of the government and of the economists. I have big expectations, and they and myself are letting us all down. In other words, and we say, go general, go general. It keeps working out. The earth keeps spinning. The sun comes up every morning. The plants keep growing. The water keeps flowing. My heart pumps all through the night without my attention to it. Things are working well. I have big desires, but I have in time the ability to achieve all of them. It's just one step at a time. I don't have to go faster than I can go. When Esther was growing up, she lived in a very small town. There were 721 people until she left. And she walked everywhere because it was small and the family car was not available to her. And she remembers the feeling of needing to go faster and not being able to. In other words, you can only walk so fast. In other words, she just wanted to teleport herself there. In other words, that feeling of impatience, of not being able to cover a distance any faster. And that a lot of you have those feelings. It's just in the airport, the announcement says, "Thank you for your patience." And Esther always says, "I am not patient." Don't thank me for patience. In other words, we don't want you to acquiesce. We don't want you to give in to that feeling of not enough momentum. And so when you say, "I have big goals," add to that, I have big goals which, like everybody's big goals, are unachievable all at once. It's not ever been my goal to live it all now. It's been my intention as I came forth to savor the unfolding of it. In other words, when somebody hands you an ice cream cone that is the most delicious ice cream that you have ever tasted. You've tasted it all of the flavors from all of the places, and you've identified that this is the one that you like the best. And it's this wonderful day, and it's piled high, and it's in your hand, and you don't say, "I'm going to see how quickly I can eat this." I'm going to see how fast I can bring this ice cream experience to an end. How quickly can I get this over with? Instead, you savor it, don't you? Don't you savor it? Don't you lick it off your arm and up your hand and around the cone?
Absolutely.
And you don't even want any of it to drip on the sidewalk. You try to get it all. In other words, you... And
that comes back to where I started with, that's the level of presence that I wish again. And I do have that experience, just speaking of the rushing and the fast pace and the trying to get to all these things that I want. And so I'm playing that game of balance.
But here's the game we want you to play. Because you've done the vortex work, then there's not a void of good things that are happening. There's a constant unfolding of good things that are happening. Information being given to you, being revealed to you, the path unfolding. And when you are in the process of closing that gap, you don't feel impatience. You feel gratified and worthy and satisfied and eager to watch the unfolding of it. It makes the farness from where you want to be even more delicious, because the journey is satisfying every step of the way. It doesn't matter how far you are from where you want to be, as long as you're moving in the direction of it, there's satisfaction. you see. And most people keep thinking that the satisfaction only comes when you get there. That's flawed. That satisfaction lasts that long. And then you're off saying, is that all there is? Is that all there is? And so the closing of the gap is such a delicious thing as long as you're closing the gap. So we don't want you to be critical of your negative emotion. We just want you to make it more general so that you can begin feeling the momentum of closing the gap. You don't even have to be positive before you start feeling good. Isn't that weird? Because everything's relative. When you were specifically negative, being less specifically negative feels better, and being generally negative feels better still. And then, oh, can't you feel it beginning to build and build and build and build and build? And do you really want to miss any of that? Do you really want to miss any of that? Barbara and Esther were so playful in the airport in Atlanta that they began making friends with all kinds of people who followed them through. It was like they were making a movie together. One family was on the plane, on the tarmac, on the plane when they couldn't operate the jetway, on the plane when the jetway was this far from the ramp, where the jetway was this far from the plane, and they all could have easily leaped across it and made their flights, but they wouldn't let them because there is a federal guideline that says there cannot be a gap. And Esther said, I can't even spit in that hole. It's so narrow. In other words, really, no one could fall through that. Nothing could fall through that. But there is a rule. And so it's as it is unfolding and they are having fun with all of that, the flight attendant said to Barbara and Esther, on about 10 occasions, you're in timeout. Which was her way of saying, I'm really enjoying how much fun you're having in this situation. And then as they were leaving the area, Jerry wrote in his email that he sent to some, an awareness that just came to him recently, that if you will allow it, that all kinds of angelic people will rendezvous with you when you're ready to let it be. That as you share this planet with so many others, that if you will let yourself be in a place of receiving them, that every single one of them has the potential of exerting angelic influence into your experience, of uplifting you. Every single one of them, 100% of them, has the ability if you're in the right place, you see. And so Barbara and Esther were standing there having this playful thought, and Esther thought about that and was speaking it to Barbara. And then this woman wearing the red coat, who had been putting them on timeout because she was making the gate announcements that there was a delay, but people were coming who hadn't heard it, and so they would go up and then she would beat up on them. And so Barbara and Esther were trying to save people the trouble of being beat up on. So they were trying to inform people as they arrived about what was happening. And then they would laugh about it. And then the people usually would say, well, I need to go ask anyway. And Esther would say, well, then go, let them beat up on you. But we're telling you what's going on. And then the woman would hear and she would say, you are in timeout, you are in timeout. And so as the whole thing was ending and they were finally getting on the delayed flight, the woman in the red coat came to Esther as she was thinking about Jerry's quotation. She made an announcement. My name is Angel. My name is Angel. And Esther said, of course your name is Angel. Could it be anything other than Angel with the ride we're taking here today? In other words, isn't the universe just knocking itself out big time? And then Angel came and wrapped her wings, we're not kidding you, around Esther and Barbara and said, thanks for keeping it light, ladies. Would you want to miss a manifestation like that?
No.
In other words, seems like a delay. Seems like I'm going too slow. Seems like something's gone wrong. When really what's happened is the universe has orchestrated for you an opportunity to savor life in detail. Because where are you going anyway? Where are you going? Where are you going? Where are you going? You want to go stand in a line at Disneyland? Where are you going? Where are you going? Isn't this why you're here anyway? Aren't you here for these interactions? Aren't you here for this co-creation? Aren't you here for these goosebump moments? Aren't you here? Aren't you here to savor life with other savors of life? Isn't that what it's all about?
Yes, indeed.
Present in the moment.
Yes, thank you so much. Love you very much.